It's been challenging. This is a little bit of Terry. We have a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're gonna get this. This has been 6 weeks, and we're gonna be spread out all across the country. Today we've got Jessica, Monica, and Terry. Jessica's in San Diego. I'm in Las Vegas, and Terry is down there in Orlando. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And we are just a couple minutes late. Terry, how's it going in Orlando, Florida?
Oh, it's a beautiful time of year, David. We had lots of rain last week, and it's about 85 degrees today, 90% humidity, but that's okay. It's 90% humidity when it's 96 degrees also. So we'll take 85 and 90% humidity, but it's a beautiful day here in Orlando.
Awesome. And Jessica, it's I told you when we started earlier, I'm a little jealous. She's in San Diego. I love San Diego. It's so beautiful. But yeah. I think it is, Terry, I think it is attached to California, though, unfortunately. But it is.
Well, I told you, yep, inflation. I'm jealous of the lack of inflation on your end. So the prices are a little higher out here.
So today we're going to have a little different format, and we have a whole different format. We have Monica, who was actually, I guess, is that what, would you like to introduce your client, Jessica?
Yeah, so Monica, we moved you, remind me exactly what town it was that you moved to, Monica, it was North Carolina.
Yeah, Wilmington.
Wilmington, yeah, and it's a beautiful town. So yeah, we moved Monica to Wilmington, North Carolina, beautiful little beach town. My husband, I think, was actually the one that helped unload you, I believe. Yes. And she was actually considered what we call like a half load. So we offer half loads, full load services. With hers, it allowed us to just drop the price a little bit. So yeah, that was Monica. And actually Monica went to a new state as of now, right? Where are you now?
Yes, we decided Wilmington wasn't the perfect fit, and we have settled permanently in Virginia Beach.
Hey, how do you like it?
Absolutely love it. Yeah. Good move for us.
And that's probably something that we could probably touch upon too, David and Terry, with her is not everyone's, you think everything's perfect and dandy in that first spot, but because California forces you out so fast, you think you found that spot, but really you're just trying to get out and survive. I know I've done it in the past. So, you know, she's found her forever home, but it might have taken one extra little smaller move to get her there. So.
So again, let me back up a little bit. So, and as our listeners are out there, they're probably wondering what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me clarify what's happening. This is our 5th weekly podcast. We go all across the country. Terry and I do, and we do interviews, and we normally have a realtor and we normally have a lender. I said to Terry, why don't we try and switch it up a little bit and let's get a mover. So we actually have a mover that helps a lot of people leave California. And so today we have Jessica O'Neill from San Diego, who helps a ton of people get out of California through her moving company. So again, Jessica, hello to San Diego and hello to Coast Moving. Tell us a little bit about your background and what your moving company is all about.
Yeah, so I am a mover. I know I look like I'm just the office worker today, but I do move. I think Monica, you've probably seen a little bit of it, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so we started roughly around 2017. It's my husband, Donald O'Neill, and I. Very small, close-knit moving company, locally owned here in San Diego. We did originally start, even though our name suggests coast to coast, you know, we're long distance from from the standpoint of when we started. We obviously had to get traction and grow and get clientele, everything's about reviews and all that stuff these days on Google and Yelp. So, from 2017, we actually started on Nextdoor. If anyone's familiar with that app, that was actually when it first started. We got a lot of local moves in La Jolla and Pacific Beach, built our traction. And the reason, stepping back a little bit, the reason we started it, my husband's been in the moving industry well before we started this as a mover or a lead mover. And personally, everyone's probably heard there's good and bad with moving companies, and same as an employee as moving companies, there's good and bad employers for those companies. So they either treat you well or they don't. And he just always found that they kind of don't treat them well enough. And I had my business background with my business degree, and I was just like, you know what, why don't we just start our own thing and go from there? So, I mean, that's kind of how a lot of companies are organically created and grown, right? Is you kind of have that epiphany of, hey, well, if they can do it, I think we can do it, and we might be able to do it better. So that's where that started. And I think it's been able to snowball at this point, really from the help of your group, really, last 2 years specifically. We actually had a client that we moved. She was a past local client that we moved, and she ended up finally moving to Texas. We moved her locally a couple times, and then Texas 2 times to Texas, different trips. And she's the one that actually suggested, I think she was actually in a specific Texas group, but we kind of navigated through the Facebook groups, and then we came upon Leaving California and Life After California, and here we are. But yeah, we're just, we expanded to the long distance. I think there's a lot of companies out there that aren't honest and aren't good, to work with. And I really sympathize. I have a lot of empathy for the people out there, whether they go for me or not, whether my price is right or not. I'm happy to suggest options. Our option might not be the best, but I want to give options, and I want to be as honest as I can. And I think that's our policy, is honesty and being upright, upfront, and just being real with our customers. Yeah.
So Jessica, I really appreciate that. I had talked to Jessica a couple of times. I always talk to our guest on the show every week, and I had no idea. You're kind of right. You don't look like a mover, but the passion and the sincerity and genuineness that I found when I was talking with Jessica was really amazing. I just could tell that she really truly cares. And a lot of times we hear these horror stories. And Terry, I know you've got a couple in your mind that you can share, but it's just nice to have a mover that really actually cares about the client. Terry, what do you got to say about all this?
Yeah, thanks, David. And yeah, it's great to have Jessica, a family-owned business that's properly licensed, insured, has a great safety record. And really, that's how all this started. As the groups started to grow, there was horror story after horror story of, I gave a broker $2,500. A 60-year-old man showed up in a pickup truck to move my stuff across country, and it was an absolute disaster. Or they showed up, picked up my stuff, and when we got to the other end, they said, if you don't give us $10,000, you'll never see your stuff again.
Yep.
And that, I'm telling you, we had this story come time after time after time. Finally, I'm like, well, look, we need to find some legitimate movers out there who are not going to do that. So all of our movers are direct movers. They're all properly licensed. They're all family-owned businesses. Now, some of them have relationships with like the Mayflowers, and that's great. But they're all properly licensed, properly insured, and have great safety records. And you can find that list, including Jessica's company, under the files tab under verified movers, approved movers. I've had it listed a couple of times. So it is a horror story. As one of our movers told me, it's the Wild West when it comes to the moving industry. In fact, I had a guy call me one time and he said, I want to be on your approved movers list. I bought a truck yesterday. I'm now a mover. I'm like, dude, that's not how it works. You got to have a track record. You got to get DOT licensing and everything else. So it really is probably the number one place where I see people get the most stress, that costs them the most money. They think they're saving money by going to Google and typing in movers in my area, and it's all brokers who all they do is take them for a ride, and it's a disaster. So I'm sure Jessica has more stories than I do about that.
Yeah.
Well, hold on one second, Jessica. I want to say something else about Jessica. And I know that in the moving industry, sometimes they're a little bit brash. And one of the things that Jessica told me, Terry, was, hey, I'm thinking about putting together a group where we can offer different movers and we can offer different vendors and we can actually try to help. So really, this whole project that Terry and I are working on every week and every day of Leaving California is putting together people that actually care. Not people that are just like, well, are you going to buy? Are you going to buy? Are you going to use me? If you're not, then I don't want to talk to you. Like, we care. We're willing to have these conversations. And that's really important. I do want to get back to that, Jessica, because that's a great concept. But the next thing we're going to talk about is, what is the key considerations for people that are thinking of leaving California? And maybe you can tie Monica into that conversation, and we can give some tips about people that are thinking about leaving.
Well, to put Monica on the spot, I think, and I'll be honest, my husband and I are probably going to be leaving, and Vegas is probably one of our spots that we might move, so it's not far away from California. And hey, you got great tax breaks over there too, so that helps as well. But I'm gonna throw Monica to us, and honestly, Monica, what were your factors on wanting to leave and all that stuff? Let us know a little bit what made you decide where and when and all that stuff.
Oh, boy, you want me to get into, I mean,
We'll do the PG version,
Yeah.
PG version.
By the way, real quick, Terry, I cannot tell you how I have appreciated this group. I've been in it for almost 2 years. Incredible resource. I could talk just about the Leave of California group, but that's
Thank you,
not what we're
Monica.
here for.
Thank you.
But yeah, I don't know if you want me to say it. Anyways, our number one reason for leaving was politics. Lots of reasons for leaving, but highest cost of living, California, highest homeless, highest illegals, highest crime, highest, it's just, the list goes on and on. But for us, it was, the governor. But anyways, I won't elaborate on that. It was a really long, hard, tough, emotional decision. We were in gorgeous Carlsbad, which is the most beautiful part of San Diego. And we had a beautiful home, 10 minutes from the beach, yada, yada. Very long, hard decision. But anyways, so I went in the Leave in California group a million times, looked under the vetted list of the movers and all of that. And, saw Jessica and Donald's company, and they were right in San Diego. So she came over, gave us a in-home estimate, like real personalized. And I had read all the horror stories too. I've moved before. But it's no joke. It's very stressful to move from coast to coast. Anyhow, whole long story, she came over for the estimate, and my husband and I were just right away completely comfortable with her. We could tell right away she and her husband were trustworthy, and it, the price was great. The price was like the lowest price we got. We went through the whole thing about, okay, do we do it ourselves? The pods, the U-Haul, all the million decisions everybody else is making. And we just decided it's one of the most stressful things ever to move, and from coast to coast, and feeling like you're being pushed out of your home politically. We just decided, man, her price was so great. We're going full service movers. We didn't have to lift a finger. It was great. So everything went perfect. Nothing broken. Everything was just the communication. I just can't even say enough. In fact, I have recommended them in the Leave in California group probably, I'm not kidding, 50 times.
You were at my number.
On people's, comments.
I have
we
to
were
butt
just
in,
like
and
that pleased.
they asked me who, just throw out a couple people, and literally I thought of you first, and like to bring you on. And then I came back to my, back to the house, and I said, oh yeah, who are you thinking to bring on? And he's like, Monica. So my husband said you at first as well, because you're always recommending us. There's plenty of others that I definitely would recommend, but you're on one of our top lists for being like, who can, because you vouch for us on there, and you have had a personal experience with us. So very nice, kind words to us. So thank you very much, Monica. It was a pleasure moving you. I do appreciate it.
You.
So I'd like to just add that one of the recommendations that we make, and when you're trying to find a realtor or you're trying to find a lender, they should be treating you like family. And honestly, I never really thought, Terry, that you would start thinking of your mover as family, but you can see this relationship and how it's blossomed and grown. But if you don't get that feeling and you just feel like somebody's just trying to make a sale, you need to run. And I really appreciate those kind words. Terry just celebrated 5 years of this mission of helping people leave California. And we're going to kind of celebrate that. I'm actually going down to Florida to visit Terry, and we're going to celebrate 5 years. And it really means a lot to him and to me for you to say that to us, because we do. Jessica and I had a conversation yesterday, and we were talking about all the hate mail and all the people that want to be haters and say negative comments. And we just kind of buzz through that. We just kind of ignore it. And if you're really being obnoxious, you're going to get booted out of the group. But honestly, we look for the positive. And we want this because we understand it's a major, major decision.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for your kind words. Terry, what else you got?
Well, I would like to ask Monica, first of all, how did you decide on Wilmington? Because we have a lot of people who've moved to Wilmington and love it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind the bad with the good. So tell us why you decided on Wilmington, and then what you didn't like. And I know both places well. Actually know Virginia Beach better than I know Wilmington. It's been a long time since I've been to Wilmington. I was in Virginia Beach probably 2 years ago at that DoubleTree that's right there on the ocean in Virginia Beach, and it was just
Yep.
beautiful. But tell us why you picked Wilmington, and then how long you were there, and then
Okay.
how you decided on Virginia Beach.
Okay, we chose Wilmington because of a few things. My grown children are in Pittsburgh, so we wanted proximity to Pittsburgh, but we only wanted beach. You know, when you're used to living in Carlsbad, it's no joke. You can't not live by the beach. So we
Spoiled.
wanted beach, sun, no snow, and proximity to Pittsburgh. And we didn't, so my husband works from home, so we can live anywhere we want. We scoured the whole country. We flew to Florida. We thought, oh, I mean, you know, everything that goes into this major move. And we chose Wilmington because my daughter had been accepted at UNCW a dozen years ago. And we vaguely remembered, oh yeah, that's a cute little beach town, you know. So we rented. We were there for 8 months. And obviously there's just no way around it. When you rent, you know, you're going to have to move a second time. It's no joke, but I'm so glad we did, because Wilmington is a charming beach town, and the people are probably the nicest people we ever met in our life. The Southern hospitality is a real thing. I've never lived in the South before. However, it was just way too small for us. We were kind of trying to look for a middle ground, you know, to go from San Diego, which is whatever, 3 to 4 million people, and then you go to Wilmington, which was, I don't know, maybe 100,000 or something. And we did all of our research, but we knew what was offered there and what wasn't, but it's kind of a different thing when you're actually living there. It's very nice, very nice. There are beautiful parts of it. We found some parts of the city quite unattractive. It's just, for us, we needed a few more big city amenities. So I really don't want to badmouth Wilmington. You know, it was very kind of,
You're not at all.
it was very kind of old school. It was not only tiny, but it was like time travel back in time. And anyways, that's the whole long thing. So we looked at the map again, and we realized, okay, the furthest north we could go to the proximity of Pittsburgh is Virginia Beach, and sun, beach, you know, almost no snow. I hear it's going to snow here maybe once. I don't know. We'll see how whatever. And it's just like an hour flight from Pittsburgh. So we did all the research and just fell in love. Wow. We found a house we are in love with. Magnificent neighborhood, people, conservative neighbors, military on every side of us. Like, it's just, we just love it. So that's it. We're 10 minutes from the beach again now in Virginia Beach. And I don't know what else you guys
That's
want.
great. And which
Ask
airport
me
do you go?
questions.
Great.
Does Virginia Beach have an airport? I've always
Yeah,
driven
it's
there.
Norfolk
Norfolk.
Airport International.
Okay. And how far are you from Norfolk? And I know you got tunnels, right? You got to go through the tunnels to get most places.
Well, we don't have to go through any kind of tunnels. We're in South Virginia Beach, which is super beautiful and rural. We are 15 minutes from a national wildlife refuge, which thrills me to no end because I'm a photographer.
Great photographer,
It's just
by the
great.
way.
10 minutes from the beach, 15 minutes from the wildlife refuge, like 25 minutes to the airport. All beautiful rural green country roads. We are very happy with our move.
That's great. That's
So,
great.
That's really awesome. And you know, a lot of times we always try to educate people. And one of the biggest things that we get week after week after week is do your research. do your homework, go to these communities and really check them out. And it sounds like, Monica, it really sounds like you did your homework and you did your research, and you had an open mind, which is a good thing. And so I think I'm going to get back to Monica because I want to talk a little bit more about that, but let's get back into moving. So the next thing on the agenda is, let's talk a little bit about a local move versus trying to move across the country. And Jessica, maybe you could share some tips and tricks about how to move and, what's the difference?
In essence, they're very similar how we treat it. We do a little bit more, prepping of the furniture a little bit more because, our interstate highways aren't the most pretty and beautiful. So we're definitely going to go over some potholes and things like that. But in essence, so local, of course, we do an hourly local rate, and it's typically done in one day. Now I'll give you an example. We have a quote out there for San Diego to Hemet. If anyone knows, that's about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes from us. We still typically would do an hourly rate for that. However, it's a 2-truck move. So even though that typically would be an hourly rate, I'm actually kind of gauging it as a long distance because it's going to take a full day of loading and then we're going to drive out and unload it the next day. So yes, that's local, but most of the time local is done in one day. Long distance is with our type of service too. Long distance is very dedicated to your specific timeline of when you need to be picked up and when you need to be delivered. We have a little bit different aspect of it. Now, Monica did what's called, again, a half load move. I do like to give a cushion, and I think I gave you a cushion of like 7 to 10 days or something like that. But I think we were able to get you there pretty fast. If I remember, I forgot you changed the date. I remember that. Yeah. Something. Yep. So we roll with the punches also, speaking of, it's all coming back to me now.
Because we thought the house was going to sell real quick, but of course
it was. And that's when everything halted.
That the government changed the interest rate.
Everything halted. I remember it was tough.
It took a little longer to sell the house. But you got us there in 4 days. It was phenomenal.
Perfect.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So, I mean, we roll with the punches on long distance. Long distance quotes, we do a binding set final rate. So Monica mentioned I do an in-home walkthrough. If you're anywhere past a 2-hour driving point for me, I will do a Zoom walkthrough with you, just like we're doing now. I will have you go on your device and I'll have you flip the screen around and I'm more or less virtually there with you and you just guide me through the house. So I do that for long distance, but at the same time, I'll do it for our local here as well. I'll do in-home walkthroughs for the locals. The reason I do that, it's very important to get an accurate inventory. It allows me now, Monica might think she has 15 boxes to pack, but when I get there as a person that does this every day, she has 70. Actually, I think that kind of was, no, you were pretty accurate. I think now that I'm thinking about it, you're decently accurate. I remember on your spatial count and I was like very impressed with you.
Purge and purge again.
Yeah, no, she did a great job. I wasn't actually worried about you at all. But some people, yeah, like they spatially can't figure it out unless I do it. So even these half load trucks, especially half loads, if you are sharing it with one other client, it's just as important for me to make sure you don't go over that 800 to 900 cubic foot mark as it is if you were dedicating that truck and going over the 17, which is a full truckload. Yeah, that's just the difference. Local versus long distance. We do hourly local rates and a set binding rate for the long distance, but more or less we take care of your property the same way, whether it's local or long distance for you.
So Jessica, I feel that warmth and I feel that compassion you have.
I'm really not a nice person. No.
Well, you're faking it really well. And
I am.
That feeling of just, you feel like family, you make moving fun. What else do you got for Jessica, Terry? You got another moving question?
Jessica, tell me again, how long have you guys been doing this? And also, I mean, do you work, can you work multiple moves? Like, can you go to Florida and New York, or how does that work as far as if you get multiple loads?
So we're smaller. You had mentioned like Joe Childs. I communicate with some of these movers through like we're friends at this point. Joe Childs from Silicon Valley Moving and Storage up north. I'll do a shout out there. He works with Beckons. There's another company I think on there that works with Mayflower. So they are what's considered, they partnered with, they are family owned and operated. However, they have partnered with, they're a couple steps ahead of us with a van line that gets you more recognition, more opportunities to do what you can, what you're talking about exactly, where, you know, say we drop in Texas, we're doing what's called a dead load or deadhead back, technically, where that overhead is just dead. You know, we have to just drive back. Whereas they can potentially, van lines or larger companies can maybe pick up a Texas or even somewhere close, you know, like, I don't know, New Mexico, go back to New Mexico, drop them in Vegas or something. They have that opportunity. However, funny thing that you're saying that this month specifically, we actually do have, we're going all the way to Philadelphia and back. We're actually going to Virginia, dropping, and then we're going up to Philadelphia, picking him up, and he's coming back to San Diego. So we are getting traction with that opportunity. Again, it's really just, it's a matter of snowballing your company. It's a matter of getting the name recognition. Our name is great because it's coast to coast moving. And, you know, people can just literally, they can Google search coast to coast moving. And sometimes we pop up randomly. I've gotten people calling me from New York and they don't realize we're a small company in San Diego still. And they're, you know, reaching out, and I'm always willing to give you a quote wherever. And going back to me being honest and upfront, I'll give you the quote. And this is how I tell people, I said, I want to give you a quote. I want to give you that option. And if we're the right option for you, that's amazing. And we're happy to move you. But if we're not, that's also okay. But I want to give you that option just so that at least you can have it with another honest company. And sorry to go off on that. What's important, what I always tell, and I probably told Monica this, is always get, I would say no less than 4 quotes. But also don't do more than 6. I would honestly do 4 to 5, not even 6. Because then you're getting them confused, first off, if you do more than 5. Reason I say more than 3 is because you can get a low number, a medium number, and a high number. You want that 4th quote to compare to see what 2 quotes kind of get you close to a similar number, at least, because you can get a quote that's 4,000, 10,000, and 19,000. So you need that 4th one to be like, okay, let me feel it out a little bit more and get that 4th one. So that's another thing, though. I know it kind of went a little off track on that, but that's something that I wanted to put in there as well, as get those quotes.
I'm glad you brought up the price, because that was something else on my list. And that kind of goes along with the lines of what are the biggest mistakes that you see people make? And maybe you could talk a little bit about how wonderful brokers are in the moving industry.
Yeah.
What are the big mistakes that people can not make if you give them advice?
So funny, going off on what I just said with our name and searching us, I literally just got a phone call today, and we get this a lot. There is a van line out there, very, very close to our name, but the last is van lines, not moving. Ours is coast to coast moving. There's van lines. They are a broker. This guy just called me today and he said, hi, I'm wondering where my stuff is and when I can expect it in Arizona. I'm not kidding. This is about 2 hours ago. And just an old, again, I think you mentioned at the beginning, an older gentleman, probably about, you know, 65-ish, 70, you know, getting, and he actually was not ignorant to the fact about brokers. He did kind of understand, but he dropped 2,600. He told me what he paid for the deposit. It was 2,600. And with brokers, these are the things you got to look out for. If someone's asking for this is the big word, non-refundable deposit, that's what you have to look for. If you're going to drop 2,600, I want to, you know, research you, whatever. And I want the option of getting that money back, at least if I change my mind, or like Monica's date changed, or maybe it just got canceled altogether. You don't get that 2,600 back, right? Now, these are things, that's something to look out for. Now, he did say, this is what he told me, is that he did ask if they were a broker, and they said that they weren't. So going with that, how to foolproof this. I don't know who's on live or if you want to watch this later, but there is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Okay, that's where we get what's called the DOT number. DOT number is associated per company. Ours is 3177184. I'm very proud to say that because we are a non-broker, we are a carrier, and we are a good company. What this is, it's kind of like a social security card for your company. It gives you all the information that you need for that company, you know, what date they started, how many trucks they have, you know, how many accidents, if any, hopefully none, but if they do, what they are, how many times of out of service you've been, insurance, if they're insured, and if they're in operation. So I've come across companies, not that they're bad companies, but it says in big red bold lettering, not in operation, not allowed to do interstate, and these companies are still somehow doing it. I will say DOT is very, very, very strict because of the illegal moving companies that are doing illegal moves. So they're very tough on us, I will be honest, and it gets frustrating, but we roll with the punches like everything. But so for anyone looking to see if you're a broker or a carrier, we're a carrier, easiest way to do this is Google search Safer DOT snapshot. So Safer, SAFER, Safer DOT snapshot. First line that's going to come up is the Federal Motor Carriers page, and you click on that, and it literally just gives you a box, input that DOT, and again, it's going to pull everything up for you for that company. And it clearly states, one of the first things it says, it'll say broker on there. So that's when you're like, okay, I don't want to say anything bad about brokers because brokers are the middleman. I think a lot of people don't realize this. They're just a middleman. They make their money $2,600 times 20 to 30 people. They make a ton of money just literally connecting you. Problem is they're not honest with that moving company that they connect you with how much stuff you have, you know, all this stuff. So that's why you're seeing the companies either ransoming, hey, your move is double what I was given, so I have to get another $7,000 in order to move you. So that's where that ransom, and sometimes it's a bad company in general that you get paired with, right? They don't do their research like Terry and David do. Terry and David are, in a sense, like the majestic brokers of leaving California, I guess you could say, right? Like they connect you, but they're not after anything. They're just after you guys having a happy experience, and they connect you with movers. They vet us, whereas the brokers don't vet any of these companies. So, but yeah, Safer DOT snapshot, that's like my number one. I don't care who calls me. I don't care how serious they are about using my services. I want to be helpful. So if you call my company just generally asking questions and wanting to get an idea of a moving company, I tell them that. I say, hey, do some research, come back to me if you'd like a quote from me. I'm not a hard salesperson. I don't believe in that. I believe in, if you feel comfortable with me, you'll come back and, you know, you'll get a quote from me and we'll go from there.
Terry, thank you so much for that. That's awesome. That's great information. And so I was teasing earlier, don't use brokers. We've been saying it. Terry, can you elaborate a little bit on the vetting process for lenders, realtors, and moving companies?
Yeah, I've spoken to every single one of them. We have over 300 realtors in our network. I've spoken to every single one of them. I've spoken to all of our movers, looked up all of their DOT numbers, make sure they have the proper licensing, safety record, and insurance. And then same thing with mortgage. I've got which states they're approved in. That's all under the files tab. Again, my goal is to just help people who want to leave. I know how unhappy I was living in California. I'm not trying to tell anybody they need to leave California, but if you want to leave California, like Monica, you've just had enough of it. And as much as you love living there, I've been to Carlsbad many times. That's a wonderful city. I can imagine how hard it was to leave that environment where your average summer temperature is probably 80 degrees and it's absolutely beautiful there, but it's a great country. And I loved what she said about Wilmington. You know, I live in the South. You know, as long as they're not from New York, everybody is really nice down here. And if they're from New York, eventually they'll lighten up. It just takes them a little while because they're not used to being having nice people around them. So I just admire the fact that, people like Jessica working with our group, and then also people like Monica who have been in here for a while and have used the resources and now loves living in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Thank you. And I want to be respectful of time. We're coming up on 45 minutes already, and time always goes by so fast. We get to travel around the country. I want to go back to Monica real quick. Monica, if you had to talk to somebody that was thinking about seriously leaving California and they're kind of stuck right now, they're like, I don't know, maybe we're going to go, maybe not. If you could share one thing about that and maybe share something that maybe we forgot to talk about with a big move like this going across country. Monica?
Gee, what did we forget to talk about? I just would say, well, first of all, I said a couple minutes ago, purge, and keep purging, man. It's crazy. But what I want to say, also, Terry, I want to say in your vetted group, I also found our auto transport company.
Awesome.
So the thing I want to say to people is, I have read thousands of comments in that group over the last year and a half. Guys, make it easy on yourself. I read everything about the containers, the pods, the driving, and it's a very stressful thing to leave California and move. We have 2 cats. Jessica and Donald had such a phenomenal price and we're so trustworthy. Guys, it wasn't that much more, really, to just have a full service mover saves so much stress. They did everything, took care of everything. We just jumped on a plane with our 2 cats and, it's just eliminated all the driving, the stress, the everything. So we were really, really, really pleased. So
thank you
when
so
she
much.
came to our house for the estimate and I found out that even she drives the truck across the country, my husband and I were like,
Yeah, I did Texas a couple months ago. It gets me in. Hey, I have a 2-year-old at home. I work in the office and I'm like, I'm going to work tomorrow on a local move. And I worked this Saturday on a local move. Why pay for a gym membership when you have it literally with your own business?
yeah.
That's the way I look at it. So if I have the time, I'm there to help as an extra foreman for sure.
Terry, any closing comments about moving, about Jessica's company, about your 5-year celebration of making it 5 years and helping all of these wonderful people like Monica get out of California?
No, it's just great to know that people are living a better life. I love living in Florida. By the way, just as a quick note, I took my son, who's born and raised in California. He came out here with me. I took him out to Lake County, Florida, which is kind of rural inland Florida, still kind of a Yahoo kind of place. I kind of saw what Monica was talking about. You're at the restaurant and everybody, the whole restaurant, they're all sitting on the deck so they can smoke their cigarettes while they're drinking their beer. We're just not used to seeing that in California. So or here in the large metropolitan areas. And then as far as 5 years, I got to share this with you, David. The other day I'm going, YouTube has their little shorts, right? And I'm thumbing through the shorts and up pops me on a YouTube short from one of our Epoch Times interviews. So it's just it's fun to just see that and to see people like Monica work with people like Jessica. We have great movers, great realtors, great mortgage people, insurance. They're all here. And all we're waiting for is for people to make that decision. And I'll tell you, once it's done and once you're out, life really is different. I paid $3.49 for gas the other day. And I talked to someone in Paso Robles who's paying $7.50 a gallon for gas, $3.49. And I mean, there's 100 stations where it's $3.49. So life really is better outside of California.
Hey, I'm still here. I know the gas prices.
Terry, my best friend was in Los Angeles yesterday. He said he paid $8.20 for a gallon of gas yesterday.
Enjoy.
It was ridiculous.
19 here.
For refinery issues. Yep.
And Jessica, as we wrap up this great, again, I personally, this is my first time of really meeting you. I would highly recommend you as a mover. I can see you're passionate. I can see that you want to help people. You're not trying to gouge anybody. You're not trying to hurt anybody. You're helping them move out of a state. And Monica said that over and over again. And again, we really appreciate you, Monica, for doing that. Jessica, we need to get your phone number and your email, and we need people to be able to get a hold of you if they're thinking about moving.
Yeah, so phone number, office number is 858-256-0458. That'll bring you right to our office. And if I'm not in the office, I forward it to my cell phone. You can email us at info@coast2coastmovesyou.com. This is where I have to explain it. It's the number 2, not TO, for coast2coastmovesyou.com. That also gets you to our website too. If you want to research us a little bit, www.coast2coastmovesyou.com. I did buy both domains for that, so TO or 2 works for that, just in case you mix that up. But yeah, definitely. And one real quick thing, Monica moving, I want to just let everyone know, don't be afraid if you end up where Monica was, where she chose one place and another. I'm going to give you a quick. I moved to Austin, Texas. Think I went there 2 or 3 times prior. I moved there from San Diego. It wasn't for me after 6 months living there, and I moved back to San Diego. I have a client that's actually talking to me. He just moved up north out of the state, and he contacted me literally 4 weeks after moving there, and he was like, I don't know if this is right for me. I told him, and this is me not trying to make money off of anyone, I told him, give it a couple months and then come back to me and then let me know. But Monica's not a one-off situation, in other words, and I want you to feel better about that also, Monica. We see this personally as a moving company, and it's okay. It's not necessarily a mistake. It's just you don't feel it, and you can't figure it out until I think sometimes you move there and realize it. You can visit that place 20 times and it might think it's right, but that's just what I wanted to say. It's okay to change your mind once you move there, because we've seen it plenty of times. So that's another tidbit.
Well, again, it's David Barry. I'm the National Relocation Director, and I want to say it. I don't say this very often, but please, when you guys are commenting on the groups, we work really hard to help people. Try to be positive. Just try to stay positive. We live in a negative world, and everybody's always trying to fight. It's all about fighting. Let's try to make this world a better place by helping one another, and let's celebrate Terry and him helping people get out of California. And by the way, Jessica, if you're really coming to Vegas, I know a really good realtor in Las Vegas. So
I've heard some stories. Yeah, definitely. No, that's one of our top potential spots to move for sure is Vegas. It's a good location. We got a couple friends out there too, so might help out.
All right, boss man, wrap it up then.
Always great, David. Thank you very much for your hard work. Jessica, great to see you face to face. Monica, thank you so much for your contributions, and so happy that you're enjoying Virginia Beach. And I just wish you and your family the best. And thanks for your helping us out today.
Thanks, Monica, for coming on for us.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
right.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Guys.